Hey everyone, I wanted to provide some clarification regarding our school dress code. There are a couple things that have changed, and I went over it in the email that I sent out, but I just want to make sure that we are all clear. If a student is not appropriately dressed, if he is disrupting the learning environment, then that would be definitely an inappropriate dress for the student. Other things to consider are, make sure that the clothing is the right size. If it's too tight or too loose, we need to address that. If their clothes are too loose, and like if it's a female and if they bend over, you can see too much, then we need to address that. If it's their clothes are too big, they need to make sure that they have a belt to keep their pants up. No sagging is allowed. As well, some of the other things that we need to keep in mind are the tops. They need to cover the midsection. We cannot wear spaghetti straps. No low cut neckline or anything suggestive. And oh, on our Richland Elementary site, and you can actually just go on the site and go straight to the dress code. You don't have to search for it through the handbook. But just making sure, I've seen several kids in flip flops. We want to make sure that we are not allowing those in school for safety reasons. So the way that it's going to look if a student is not meeting our dress code expectations, we don't want to send kids to the office if they're not meeting our dress code expectations, because that is taking them out of the learning environment. And we don't want that to happen unless their dress code is drastically disrupting the learning environment. Trina is going to put together some little half sheets that we will send home if a student is not meeting our dress code expectations, where you can circle the specific expectation that wasn't met in that dress code for that day, and that communication can be sent home to parents. I would need you to document the date that you had sent that home. The next time it happens, you can send the note home, but you also need to make a phone call, reminding parents of what those expectations are. If it's extremely inappropriate, then we would need parents to come up and bring some additional clothes, but we don't want to send the kids out of class while we're waiting for these clothes to come up here. So just keeping those things in mind. Like I said, we're going to be compiling a letter so that we can have that communication with parents. If you prefer to send your letter in Google Classroom or whatever campus communication you're using for your classroom communication with your parents, you can do that rather than sending home the paper form. But this is just documentation that we have specified the specific portion of the handbook that was not being met. While I have your ear, I also want to talk briefly about homework expectations, because I'm sure many of you are going to be starting on that here very soon, probably starting next week. So I just want to make sure that we are clear on the expectations for the amount of homework that we're providing to students. No more than 30 minutes of daily homework should be assigned to our primary grade levels for kindergarten through third grade. and no more than 60 minutes of homework a night should be assigned to 4th through 6th grade. And this does include if you require them to read for 20 minutes, then you would need to make sure that they didn't have any more than 40 minutes of homework. In addition, we need to make sure that the homework is on the individual levels of our students. So if we have students in class who receive accommodations and modifications, we need to make sure that the homework is taking that into account as well, because they're not going to be successful if they don't have those supports. If you have any questions on this, please reach out. And thank you so much for all that you're doing to support our students. It's been a fabulous first week of school.